Hi YouTube, it's Natural Me 4C, and today I want to talk about single strand knots and how frustrating they are. So let's get started. So single strand knots are known as fairy knots. They're also known as SSKs for short, and they're just known to be very frustrating when it comes to taking care of your hair. What they are is little tiny knots that form on the ends of your hair strand, a single strand of hair. Sometimes they can form multiple knots on one strand, which blows my mind, and it's very frustrating. It's very common for type 4 hair to experience single strand knots because the hair tends to shrink a lot and, coil on itself. The straighter textures do not usually experience a lot of single strand knots. Some problems that single strand knots can cause is they can make your hair feel very rough and bumpy, especially if you choose to straighten your hair or, blow it out with a blow dryer. You just don't have a smooth, feel to your hair. It's very rough. So that's not really a good feeling. And also, it may lead to breakage. If you are snagging, single strand knots when you're detangling your hair, if you choose to use a comb, you can snap off some knots and cause split ends and just a host of problems. So depending on how bad the knots are, it can lead to some damage. There's some options that you have if you are experiencing single strand knots. You can choose to cut them out, which I do sometimes. I will, if I feel like a big one, then I will grab my hair shears and cut them out. Or if I feel multiple knots on a single strand, I just touched my hair 2 times and I felt a knot on both times. If I feel multiple knots, then I'll grab my hair shears and cut it out as well. You can even try to unravel it. If your hair is long enough you can see it, you can try to unravel it. You're probably going to be unsuccessful with that, but you can just leave them alone, which is what I have done more than the other 2 options. I just think that with my hair texture, 4C, it's going to happen. I don't like it, but I really don't think that there's a way for me to avoid it 100%. What I notice is with my hair, sometimes the shed hairs that tend to fall get stuck in the single strand knots, so that creates more knots that I have to then remove with my fingers, or sometimes a wide tooth comb or a detangling comb. Now I really don't comb my hair. I actually noticed that when I comb my hair I get more knots because my hair tends to snap back tighter after it's combed. So I tend to finger detangle my hair, and it actually helps better than a comb would. I usually get the most knots if I wear my hair shrunken. So if I decide not to do a twist out one day or braid out and just let my hair shrink as tightly as it does, I will have a lot of knots, a lot of single strand knots, a lot of regular knots, a lot of stuff going on. So I tend to wear my hair stretched. So how can we prevent single strand knots? Okay, so I would say, just try to make sure that your hair is as moisturized as possible. Make sure you're using a butter, an oil, both. I'm using olive oil, avocado butter, and castor oil in my regimen, and they help me keep my hair properly lubricated. Also, try to make sure that you're using a conditioner that has a ton of slip, so that you can prevent some of the knotting from starting in the first place. Tresemme Naturals is a great conditioner. I'm using it as a leave-in, but it's great for detangling as well. I also try to make sure that I keep my hair stretched. It doesn't have to be fully stretched, but twist outs and braid outs and banding help keep the hair stretched so that it doesn't ravel onto itself as much. And also, I'm trying to keep my hands out of my hair. I'm always touching my hair, so I could possibly be creating more knots than necessary. So I need to work on keeping my hands out of my hair. Sometimes if I'm noticing that I have a lot of knots on the ends, I might have to do a detailed detangling where I bust out the comb. I usually do not comb my hair once again, but if you find that using a comb, in your regimen is better for you, then I would say go right ahead, because whatever will help you with single strand knots, do it. And last, what I noticed has helped my hair with single strand knots and knotting in general is using a gel or a conditioner as my styler. Sometimes I get a little lazy and I just use avocado butter and olive oil, and I don't use like an aloe vera gel or anything like that, and I will get more knots. My hair will feel extremely soft, but I will get more single strand knots. So gel helps prevent some of the knots as well. Okay, so I know I am not the only one dealing with single strand knots. I want to know what you are doing to prevent your knots, single strand and regular, and how you are treating them. Are you cutting them out? Are you leaving them? Are you not even worrying about them? Let me know in the comments box below. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you very soon in another video. Take care.